If you want to see amazing and exciting duels, informative and entertaining top 10 lists, and everything else that's just great about the game of Yu-Gi-Oh, you gotta watch the Capital G Show. Shout outs to my homeboy Dante. Hey. What's up YouTube, Capital G here, looking a little towards next format and asking the question, could we be potentially moving towards an FTK-ish type format? Now, don't instantly dislike the video because you don't like FTKs, you don't like what they stand for, and maybe you don't enjoy playing against them because, for the most part, I don't think anybody likes playing against FTKs. That's really not the point of the video. Oh, Cap, I hate FTK, so by proxy, I have to hate this video. No, I'm just asking a simple question here. Now, I know it's a little difficult to envision because we don't know what the potential card pool is going to be next format. We don't know what the ban list is. I mean, Konami could just completely flip the script and say, okay, Necros of Brionac is banned, and then it's like, wow, well, that deck is not really, that deck might not be competitively relevant anymore. But let's just assume that either Konami does, you know, minimal hits like, you know, Necros of Brio Limited, Unicorn Limited, little hits here and there, maybe a little hits to, you know, like Teller Knights and Shadows or something like that. Or we'll just assume that this list just kind of transfers over. I know that doesn't make any sense, but it's just for the sake of the purpose of the video. So with Clash of Rebellion soon to be released, like it is our next TCG booster set, this booster set is going to do a ton for the game. Like I'm not quite sure if it's going to be the level of Duelist Alliance. I don't think it'll be that high, but with so many good cards coming out, it's going to be way bigger than, like, you know, Secrets of Eternity or Cross Souls, because not only do we get the Performages, which means that we get like Clown Blade, although we don't get the same Exceed pool, but we also get the Ignites, we get Chicken Race, but more specifically, there are going to be a lot of viable FTKs when Clash of Rebellion fully is released, because Chicken Race, we all know about that deck, and we all know about the card, but specifically the deck that it allows to just be much more consistent. That is, of course, Magical Explosion. Adding Chicken Race and then Pseudo Space into the deck basically gives you like 6 more copies of Upstart Goblin. If you're getting 6 just generic draw cards, that can take an FTK from like not even thinkable to like, oh, that's actually playable at a competitive event. You also have the Ignites, and I don't know if you guys have seen some of the FTKs. I kind of wondered like what were Ignites kind of useful for. And I think we are finally finding out that they're kind of used to just like create constant loops. So anyways, Ignites actually have 2 current FTKs right now. Actually, it could be more. There's just 2 that I know about. I saw one of them on Asian Eyes White Dragon's channel, and I'll actually have his video, what's it called? I have his video linked. I actually have it right here, but I don't want to like play his video in my video or whatever. But anyways, there's one FTK that revolves around constantly summoning Blaze Phoenix. It is one of the most obscure things you will ever see, but it actually works. Now, it does require Norden, but I mean, we're getting that like basically around the same exact time. And then there's another FTK that actually revolves around Tempest Magician, where you're running Zephyr cards and like Blackwing Zephyros the Elite, you're running the Oracle of the Zephyros, and eventually you get a handful of like a billion cards, and you end up just burning your opponent to death with Tempest Magician. And speaking of Tempest Magician, we actually have a 4th deck on here. This is this is easily the craziest FTK on this list. And this is a deck that I hate it because people are starting to kind of realize that this deck exists now, even though we've had all the cards for a little while, and it's actually on YGO Organization. I played against this deck on stream about 3 days ago, and the player actually pulled off the FTK turn 1, and there was absolutely nothing I could do about it. I don't know if Effect Veiler would have stopped it, but I know Max C wouldn't have, because I would have decked out. And this deck actually has the same exact concept. It revolves around blue-blooded Oni and constantly using Utopic Future. You go into Daigusto Emerald about 50 different times, and then eventually, once you have a handful of Atelian cards, just like the Ignite deck, you eventually make Tempest Magician using Plague Spreader in this deck, because like a lot of the deck is zombies, as you can see, and then you just burn your opponent to death with Tempest Magician. I guess, yeah, you would probably wait to Veiler like the Tempest Magician or something like that. But for my point is, you're seeing 4 legitimate FTKs, and I don't know how consistent the Chicken Race one is because going second and whatnot, but these other ones, I mean, you're seeing like consistency rates of like over 80%, which is a little scary. Now, just a quick history lesson. The last time I would say that we had anything kind of remotely remotely resembling like an OTK, FTK type format was right after Phantom Darkness came out. A lot of people call it Dad Return format, and if you were playing back then, you obviously know about Dad Return. The two problem cards of that format were really Dark Magician of Chaos and Dimension Fusion. Those two cards just caused loops. They caused FTKs. They caused OTKs like crazy. And it wasn't even just those two cards. It was even a deck like Six Samurai where people were like, they had just gotten support and Six Samurai United out of Phantom Darkness, and people were throwing reasonings into the deck, so you could just like summon Zanji, Grandmaster, Reasoning, Great Shogun Shin, game. You know what I mean? Like that's over 8,000 damage. So you also had, Magical Explosion variants that were popular during that time. You had the Shadow Priestess of Ohm FTK. There were actually two different versions of the Magical Explosion FTK. One running like the Diamond Dude engine, and another running like the Cyber Valley engine. So that was a format where if you got into turn 3, it was like, damn, that's a long game. And I fear that we could actually be going into a format like that because of Elder Entity Nodin. If the, Instant Fusion is at 3, the loops with Vylon Cube, and then all the loops that the Ignites cause, and they use Elder Entity Nodin also. And I believe they only run, I'm not sure how many instant fusions they run, but they only need one Nodin. So if Konami limits Nodin, I don't really think that that's going to actually do anything. I could be mistaken about that. Don't quote me on that. But I want to know what you guys' thoughts are, because I immediately looked at Clash of Rebellion. I was like, man, we got Performages, we got Red Eyes, all this good stuff. And then I kind of looked at the bad, and I'm like, oh, wait, but we're getting Chicken Rays, and we're getting Ignites, and Ignites have a whole bunch of FTKs. So this is just something that I'm not sure if a lot of people have realized, but the FTKs could be legitimately real. And here's the thing, I just want to end on this note. Even if they aren't like tier 1, if they aren't the best decks, what if they're like tier 1.5? What if they're basically like what you would consider maybe Spirit Beast right now? I mean, wouldn't that still be a little scary if you have a deck where in the last couple of rounds at an event you run into it and just fucks up your entire day? It's like, damn, I didn't even get to play. He won game 1, he scooped game 2, and then he went game 3 first, and then I just end up losing because I didn't draw my hand traps or some bogus shit like that. So I think that it would be kind of like cruddy if we actually saw these self-touching decks become like legitimate tier decks. But from what I've seen of the Ignites, man, they're supposed to be like really consistent in what they do. So anyways, thank you guys for watching as always. Subscribing makes life happy.